A day before my sister's wedding, her fiancé told me to disappear forever as his ideal gift. So I sold the house they thought was theirs and left every guest an envelope revealing the truth he'll never forget. You know that feeling when someone you've given everything to looks you dead in the eye and tells you the perfect gift would be for you to disappear? Yeah, that happened to me, just hours before my own sister's wedding, and it set in motion a chain of events that shattered my family and redefined everything I thought I knew about love, generosity, and boundaries. Asterisk asterisk, my name's Reed. I'm 38, and for most of my life, I've been the older brother, the fixer. I'm a high school principal, which basically means I spend my days putting out fires with a coffee cup and a smile, learning kids' names, answering emails at midnight. I like boring. Boring means safe. My family, though, not so much. I paid for my sister's community college when my dad decided rail artists didn't need degrees. I co-signed for my mom's car when her credit mysteriously tanked. When my sister, Mara, got engaged, I offered to host the rehearsal dinner without a second thought. That's just who I am. Reed equals responsible. We were at the venue the day before the wedding. The ballroom glittered with fake gold chairs and a chandelier that looked like it wanted to fall on someone for attention. I had my clipboard. Always have a clipboard. The DJ was checking chords. The florist was adjusting centerpieces. And Mara? She was twirling in the middle, high on happiness, like a kid who'd just stolen the gym. Then Tyler, her fiancé, walked up. That salesman smile plastered on his face, the one he wears when he wants something. He leaned on the bar like we were in a commercial. "Reed," he said, friendly like a waiter about to upsell a dessert. "You know what would be the perfect gift?" I didn't even look up from my notes. I'd already covered the rehearsal dinner and all the vendor tips. He just smiled wider, teeth so bright they could set off car alarms. "No, man. The perfect gift would be you disappearing from our lives forever." The room kept moving. Glasses clinked. The DJ tapped his mic. Someone laughed near the cake. But I heard his words like a slap through a closed door. Mara saw my face and rolled her eyes. "He's joking, Reed. Don't be sensitive." But Tyler? He didn't blink. He leaned closer, so only I could hear. "You've had your turn running her life. Hand off the baton. Be generous." He patted my shoulder twice, like a coach. I just stared at his hand until he moved it. "I don't run anyone's life," I said. My voice was eerily even. "Years of leading assemblies will train that into you." He shrugged. "Then don't start tomorrow. And don't make it weird with the house." My brow furrowed. "What house?" He just grinned. "Come on, man." Mara tugged his sleeve. "Drop it," she hissed, then looked at me. "Just be on time tomorrow." I nodded once. "Clipboard. Pen. Breathe in, breathe out. If you teach teenagers long enough, you learn the trick. Don't react first." Tyler raised his glass toward me, like we were sharing some secret joke. "To the perfect gift," he said softly, and then he just walked away. I watched him go, felt the floor tilt under my shoes. It was like I was standing on a story I hadn't agreed to be in. Let me explain the house comment, because that's the knot that tightened around everything. 5 years ago, after a brutal year of budget cuts and a winter where 3 kids in my district lost housing, I bought a small, tired duplex. It was near our old neighborhood, the kind of place with cracked sidewalks and a corner store that knows your business. My plan was simple: renovate one side, rent the other at a discount to a teacher or a new family. The numbers worked if I lived modestly and forgot vacations existed. Mara had just dropped out of community college. She was 19, newly stubborn, newly in love with a boy who hated labels and didn't believe in W2S. She bounced between couches until Mom called me crying, and I handed over a key. "Short term," I said. 3 months. You pay utilities and buy your own groceries." She hugged me. "You're a saint, Reed." 3 months became 6. Then a year. I covered the leak in the bathroom, the cracked range, the electrical panel no inspector liked. I never charged her rent. At first, it felt like doing the right thing. Then it started to feel like pushing a car with the parking brake on. Mom said, "It's family. You'll get it back in blessings." Dad just said, "You love playing hero." I work in a building where kids come to school hungry. You don't unlearn that when you clock out. So I kept paying. Tyler arrived 2 years ago. Always smiling, loud, always slightly overdressed. He sold experiences online. He had a podcast no one I knew listened to. He'd take Mara to rooftop bars and post photos with captions like, "We don't chase dreams. We leased them. In the beginning, I tried to meet him where he was. I asked simple questions. What's your plan? How do you pay taxes on that? Do you have health insurance? He'd call me Dad, as a joke, and brush me off. He'd bring a new gadget to dinner and talk about wealth mindset between mouthfuls of pasta Mom bought with my grocery money. One night after he left, Dad said, "At least he's ambitious." I just stared at the unopened envelopes on Mom's table. Late fee, final notice, urgent. I thought about the teachers who bought markers with their own cash. About the senior who quietly picked up extra shifts because his rent went up again. Tyler proposed last spring in a vineyard they couldn't afford. We all saw the video because they sent it to everyone. Drone footage. A guy with a violin. "Marry me," he said while a hired crowd cheered. She cried. He cried. The comments were a soup of hearts and rocket emojis. Within a week, my phone lit up. "Mara, Ty wants a big wedding." "Mom, it's tradition for the older brother to handle the rehearsal dinner." "Dad, don't be cheap." So I booked the rehearsal dinner. I made spreadsheets. I asked the venue for a small teacher discount because guilt is a powerful grant application. I left work early to meet vendors because the athletic director can run a gym, but not a flower schedule. Then the weird stuff started. Tyler texted me a list of suggested wedding gifts, including closing costs for the house transfer. I called him. "Close what?" I asked. "The house," he said, patient, like I was a slow child. "Mara grew up dreaming of living near Mom. It's poetic. You sign it to us. Your name off, our name on. We'll take on the utilities." I laughed, because that's what my brain did to avoid swearing. "The house isn't a present," I said. "It's my retirement plan. It's also subsidized housing for a teacher on the other side." He sounded bored. "You're a principal, man. You'll be fine. Think about legacy." "Legacy is keeping the rent low for the first-year teacher who cries at her desk," I shot back. He chuckled. "Cute. Send me your lawyer's info." I didn't. Instead, I set a reminder to call my lawyer and strengthen the no transfer without consideration language on my file. Boring. Safe. A week later, a letter arrived from my homeowner's insurance with a note. "Additional insured requested, Tyler B." It wasn't a big deal, not legally binding like a deed, but it was a fingerprint on the glass. I called the agent. "I didn't request this." "Oh," she said, flipping papers. "We got a form signed by your sister." "Disregard," I said, and drove straight to the duplex. Mara's side smelled like hairspray and candles that cost more than tires. Tyler lounged on the couch in gym shorts, feet on my coffee table. "Don't put your feet there," I said. My voice came out sharper than I meant. He smirked. "Wow, the landlord emerges." I held up the insurance letter. "Don't sign my name on things." "It was Mara," he said. She walked out of the bathroom in a towel. "Tyler told me it's normal." "It's not," I told her. "Stop treating my house like a registry." I looked at her. "You can stay through the wedding. After that, we need a plan." Her eyes hardened in a way that made her look older than me. "So, you're evicting me before my wedding?" I exhaled. "No, I'm asking you to be an adult." She turned away. "Mom said you'd do this." It got worse in small ways. Tyler started bringing strangers over to brainstorm in the living room. Boxes of cheap merch arrived with slogans like "Hustle like Sunday." One of my tenants on the other side texted me a photo of a drone camera flying near her bedroom window. "Is this legal?" she wrote. I wrote back, "No. Give me an hour." I drove over. Tyler was on the porch, filming a story. I took the drone remote out of his hands and put it in my pocket. "You can't fly this here." He raised his phone. "My landlord is assaulting me," he announced to his followers. He had, at most, 9. Mara laughed. "Reed, don't be dramatic. Tell your fiancé to stop filming people's windows," I said. He spread his hands. "You going to call the cops on your sister's future husband?" The thing about being a principal is you can hold silence in a room until someone else fills it with a confession. I stared at him. He dropped the smile first. 2 days before the wedding, Mom sent a group text. "Family meeting tonight, 6 p.m. Her living room was packed. Aunt Zora took the chair by the ficus like she was presiding over a trial. Dad sat with a drink he said was just ginger ale. Mara was all eyelashes and lip gloss. Tyler wore a blazer and sneakers. Mom clasped her hands. "We need to align on the house," she said, her voice sweet over steel. "Traditionally, there is no tradition that says, 'Reed steals duplex,'" I said. Tyler smiled at Mom. "He's tense." I put a folder on the coffee table. Inside were 5 years' worth of utilities, repair invoices, and a copy of the lease for the teacher next door. This is not a spare toy, I said. It's not a prop in your vlog. This is shelter. Dad snorted. Always the martyr. Aunt Zora chimed in. You make good money. Don't be selfish. Mara's voice was small and sharp. I thought you loved me. Tyler leaned in. You know what would be the perfect gift? He said, echoing his line from the venue. Softer now, meaner. Shut up and disappear. Mom didn't flinch. Read. Just sign a letter of intent. We'll figure out the rest. I looked at their faces and finally understood the role I was cast in. Not brother. Not son. Wallet with feet. I picked up my folder and stood. Meeting adjourned, I said. Dad laughed. Power trip. No, I said. Boundary. The breaking point wasn't a single explosion. It was a string, pulled. Neat and quiet. Until the whole sweater slipped off. It started in the family group chat the night before the wedding. Tyler posted a photo of a champagne bottle with the caption, "Tomorrow we level up." Then he sent a winking emoji directly to me and added, "Don't be late, landlord." I typed, deleted, typed again. Then I dropped screenshots. Utility bills with my name, the email from the insurance agent, the attempted additional insured request, a Venmo history where I covered groceries, and he reimbursed me with exactly $0. And a fire emoji. Mom responded first. Read, this is ugly. Don't ruin Mara's big day. I replied with one sentence. Stop treating me like a bank. Dad, guilt trips don't suit you. A minute later, my phone buzzed with a call from a number I didn't know. It was the venue manager. Small thing, she said. Your future brother-in-law tried to add his card to your rehearsal dinner. It declined 3 times. We ran yours on file. Also, he asked for the honeymoon suite key. Said you said it was all taken care of. Don't give him anything else, I said. Call me if he breathes near the register. Then my work phone chimed. My work phone, which I never use for family. It was the district treasurer, a no-nonsense woman who signs paychecks and smells lies like gas leaks. Read, she said low. I got a call a few hours ago. A man claiming to be your brother-in-law asked to confirm employment details for a loan. He tried to get your salary and your retirement balance. He said he needed it for a family acquisition. I told him to take a long walk off a short pier, and I flagged your file. My free hand clenched. Thank you, I said, and I truly meant it. I drove to the duplex at 10 p.m., all the centerpieces and timelines and playlists rattling in the trunk of my brain. The house was dark except for lights spilling from Mara's living room. Laughter. Music. Tyler's voice. Inside, a few people I didn't know sat on my couch, eating wings over my rug. Tyler stood at the kitchen island, counting cash like a man who wanted to be seen counting cash. I kept my voice even. Everyone out. Now. Tyler grinned. It's a celebration. This isn't your house, I said. No parties, no strangers, no cameras. He stepped close, his breath sweet with something strong. You can't hurt me, he whispered. Tomorrow I'll be family. My hand found my keys. Tomorrow you'll be on time, I said. That's the only thing you'll be. Mara's face flickered. Read, please don't make it hard. I looked at her. My little sister, the kid who once fell asleep in the back seat with a lollipop stuck in her hair. Something cracked. Hard was 5 years of keeping the lights on, I said. Hard was teaching classes during a lockdown and then dropping off your groceries at midnight. Hard is watching you treat shelter like a gift bag. Tyler laughed, threw his arm around Mara. There it is, he said to the room. Principal Dad. Say it louder, man. Tell everyone you think you own us. I didn't raise my voice. I put a small white envelope on the counter. On the front, Mara. Inside, a copy of a letter I'd mailed earlier that afternoon. Read it later, I said. Not tonight. Tyler snatched it up. What is this? Boundaries. Boundaries, I said and left. In my car, I checked the time. 10:47 p.m. I made 2 calls. One to my lawyer, one to my realtor. Everything ready? I asked. DocuSign is in your inbox, my lawyer said. You'll have a final at 9 a.m. My realtor's voice was calm, the voice of a woman who'd sold 3 houses while in labor. We close at noon, she said. Funds by 3. I stared at my reflection in the dark window. My face looked like a man who'd been holding a heavy box for years and finally set it down. The breaking point wasn't shouting. It wasn't drama. It was a signature. Wedding day, morning sunlight like clean sheets. The venue smelled like roses and stress. I arrived at 9:15 with coffee for the staff because kindness buys competence. My phone buzzed with 20 different family notifications. I turned off previews. The DJ waved. The florist waved. The coordinator, Paige, the one with a headset like a pilot, gave me a thumbs up. Tyler asked if we can do the private sparkler exit before dinner, she said. Please don't set anything on fire before food, I said. She laughed and moved on. I stood near the window and opened my laptop. DocuSign blinked. I read every page like a man who has learned second readings save lives. Sale of duplex, check. Tenant protections, double check. Funds directed, triple. At 9:42 a.m., I signed. At 9:43, I forwarded the confirmation to my lawyer, my realtor, and one more email address. The New Buyer, a small nonprofit that runs transitional housing for first-year teachers and newly arrived families. We'd built the deal in secret. They were paying slightly under market. I was eating the difference gladly. If you've ever watched a kid lug a backpack heavy with everything they own, you stop measuring profit the same way. At 11:57 a.m., I got the ping. Closed. At 12:16, the wire confirmation landed. I exhaled, calm in a room buzzing with hairspray and last-minute crises. I stepped into a quiet hallway and texted the venue coordinator. I have envelopes to place on every guest table. Can we do it while folks are at cocktail hour? Of course, she wrote. What's inside? Asking so I know if security should be on standby. Paper, I wrote. Truth. She sent the little eyes emoji and a heart. The ceremony started at 3. Classical music swelled. Mara looked beautiful. Even Payne admits that. Tyler looked like a man auditioning to play groom on a streaming show. When the officiant said, if anyone has just cause, my jaw twitched, and I fixed my gaze on the floor. Not today. Not my scene. They kissed. People clapped. I clapped too. Sometimes the kindest thing is not the easiest thing. Cocktail hour. Laughs. Music. A table of shrimp that would later become a story in a bathroom group chat. I slid the box of envelopes to Paige. She snapped her fingers, and a small army of stealthy staff fanned out like elves. Each envelope was matte cream, with a single line printed in clear black type. For transparency, for goodbye, R. Inside was a short letter, a copy of the closing statement with redacted account numbers, and a small card with a QR code. The letter read, Dear guests, you were invited to celebrate love. You deserve honesty, too. For 5 years, I have carried the mortgage, utilities, repairs, and groceries for my sister's household. This was never a wedding gift. It was help. Help ends when harm begins. As of noon today, I sold the duplex to a nonprofit that provides affordable housing for first-year teachers and newly arrived families. It will no longer be available to my sister and her husband. Some will call this cruel. I call it a boundary. If you scan the code, you'll see where the proceeds went. If you know me, you know why. I wish the couple happiness that isn't built on theft. Read. The QR code led to a public donation page, already funded with the bulk of the proceeds, split 3 ways. A scholarship fund in my late grandmother's name for students who plan to become teachers, a district emergency fund for housing insecure students, and a small grant pool to cover certification tests for paraprofessionals who want to move into teaching. No confetti, just receipts. We opened the ballroom doors. The reception began like any other. Entrance music. Cheers. First dance. Tyler did a performative dip for the camera. Mara laughed too loudly. Plates clattered. Then the envelopes were opened. It started in the corner table with Tyler's cousin, the one who'd posted #wedding season 3 times that day. She scanned the code and covered her mouth. 2 tables over, Aunt Zora blinked at the letter like it was written in a language she almost remembered. The teacher from across the hall, my tenant, watched it unfold, then looked at me with an expression I can only describe as relief. Tyler noticed the quiet first. He hates not controlling the noise. What's that? He asked the closest guest. The guest held up the letter. Tyler took it, scanned the lines, and laughed, but not like before. This laugh had teeth. He turned toward me across the room, still smiling, voice heavy with sugar. What does this read? I stood. Transparency, I said. Mara walked over, face bright, eyes frantic. What did you do? The house is sold, I said. I told you in the letter I put on your counter last night. She shook her head. You're ruining my wedding. I'm leaving your finances alone, I said. That's the gift. She blinked like she didn't understand the word alone. Tyler waved the paper in my face. You think this makes you a hero? His voice rose. You think giving money to a bunch of strangers makes you holier than? Stop, I said. You asked me to disappear, so I did. He jabbed a finger at my chest. You can't evict us without notice. You are not my tenants, I said. Not anymore. You're guests here and in my life. He looked at the QR code again, like it might rearrange itself into something kinder. From the mic, the DJ tried to lighten the air. Okay, folks. Time for the no, Tyler said, grabbing the mic. Feedback screeched. No music. We're doing this. He turned to the room. This man, he pointed the mic at me like a weapon, wants a medal for being cheap. I didn't take the bait. I opened my folder and laid out copies of the bills, the insurance letter, the attempted additional insured, the text asking for me to cover closing. This is a boundary, I said, not a performance. Mom stood up, cheeks flushed. Reed, how dare you humiliate your sister? I looked at her. Years of swallowing boiled up and cooled into a flat line. I'm not humiliating anyone. I'm refusing to be used. Dad muttered. You could have handled this privately. I nodded. I tried. You called it drama, so I made it plain. A silence fell the way it falls in a classroom right before the truth arrives. Then the new buyers walked in. 2 representatives from the nonprofit, hair still windblown from a long day, invited by Paige without telling me. They looked awkward in their thrift store suits. The woman at the front gave a small wave. Sorry to interrupt, she said. We wanted to thank Reed publicly. The second-floor unit will house 2 first-year teachers whose apartments flooded last month. The ground-floor unit will go to a family on our waiting list whose kids attend Reed's school. She smiled at me. Your money didn't vanish. It landed. The room shifted. People who knew what rent costs in this city nodded. Some clapped. Some didn't. That's fine. Truth doesn't need unanimous votes. Tyler slammed the mic on the table. Get out, he hissed at them. Mara's bouquet trembled in her hand. Reed, she said, voice small. Where will we go tonight? I looked at her, at the girl who once borrowed my hoodie and never gave it back. To a hotel, I said. Like adults. Tyler glared. We'll sue. My lawyer, who had slipped into the back like a ghost because I'd left him a pass at the door, raised a hand in a tiny wave. Try me, he mouthed. I picked up my jacket. The DJ started the music again on instinct. People needed something to do with their hands. I walked to the exit. Paige met me there, eyes shiny. What was inside? She whispered. He'll never forget. I nodded. It wasn't for him. Who was it for? Me, I said. And the kids. 2 weeks later, my mornings are quiet. Late summer air, cut grass, hot asphalt. The first-year teachers moved in yesterday. I hauled a futon up narrow stairs, scraped my knuckles. Didn't mind. They brought a thank you plant I'll probably kill in 3 months. We laughed. I changed my locks. I changed my mind about a few things, too. Mom left 8 voicemails. First furious. Last exhausted. Family forgives, she said. I hit delete. Family also respects boundaries. Start there. Dad texted. You embarrassed us. I replied. I relieved myself. Not a joke. A fact. Mara tried the longest. Little paper boats of messages. Angry. Pleading. Angry again. Tyler has connections. I'll owe her forever. She missed me. I sent one reply. I love you. I won't finance you. If you're ready to talk real budgets, I'm here. If not, I still love you. The ATM is closed. Silence. Then 1:13 a.m. I didn't know he called your district. Another. He sold grandma's ring for the photographer. Then, I'm staying with a friend. Last. Does the nonprofit need volunteers? I stared at that one. Yes, I wrote. They need everything. Nothing from Tyler. A cousin says he posted about toxic relatives and launched shirts. Boundary King. I hope he buys one. At school, a kid hovered in my doorway, eyes on his shoes. My mom said to say thank you, he muttered. We got the emergency fund. We're at the shelter for now, but it's near my bus, the place with the teacher apartments. It's safe. I'm glad, I said. He left. I watched my calendar blur into pixels. That night, at my kitchen table, I wrote 3 lines. I am not a wallet with feet. Love doesn't require self-erasure. Boundaries are a gift to me and to everyone I stop resenting. I tape them above my desk. Simple words for when the old script creeps back. I think about that chandelier that refused to fall. The envelopes. How much truth a small paper can carry. And the word that arrived late. No, here's the version I keep. A man asked for the perfect gift. Silence. A blank check. My life bent to his plan. I gave something else. A boundary. A ledger with my name erased. A house turned into shelter for people who won't post it for applause. I left envelopes so there'd be witnesses. Not to drama, but to a decision. I'm not disappearing. I'm here, living a life that's mine. When the old voices call me selfish, I look at the scholarship dashboard, the emergency grants, the teacher turning a key she can afford, and remember the only moral that mattered. I will never again fund my own erasure. If you need me, I'll be where I've always been. Past the boundary.